Hey everybody! So I'm back, clearly. I went to visit my family and had a lovely time, and so did Ina, and she actually played with her cousins because she's just old enough to do that now. And pretty uneventful trip there and back, which was great. And I managed a whole half a repeat on my knit-along shawl, which I promise you, I am still working on. But yeah, a whole half a repeat, not very much. So anyway, I thought it would be fun, since we had talked about it, to sort of do like an embroidery along kind of thing. And I decided that I was going to do the Halloween version of the Kariki Press samplers. I really like this one. I've had it for a while. I love the little pumpkin, such a cute little pumpkin. And I think the techniques are a lot of fun. And so today, I don't know that I'll do much stitching, but I wanted to show you how to set up and talk to you about what's in the kit, so that if you wanted to participate, then you could follow along. And you don't have to do the Halloween kit. If there's another kit that you like better, we have several kits available on the website. So you can absolutely go pick another one. I just, it's fall and I love fall. I'm a fall person. It's my favorite season, and I grow tons of pumpkins in my garden. In fact, I think we picked 5 pumpkins just today. I think we picked 5 pumpkins today. I'm pretty sure, no, 6 pumpkins, because I had 2 carving pumpkins and 4 of my Long Island cheese puree pumpkins that we picked. So we picked a bunch of pumpkins today because I love fall and I plant a lot of pumpkins for fall. So anyway, this is the one that I'm going to do. And when you open up your little Kariki kit, so here's the outside, and then here is your little color insert, so you know what you're getting. What's in here is the thread and your screen printed sampler as well. And then I had bought this one in their sampler club, so it came with a little extra piece and some other information on the bottom. But once you have your cute little screen printed fabric, right? And your thread, then there's some other things that you need to get started. So you'll want to go and download the instructions, and I hope this shows up. You can kind of see it on there. So, vaguely. Yeah, not really. I have a PDF on here, so I have a PDF on my tablet that is the instructions from Kariki Press. And I love that she does this by PDF, so if you want, you can just work off your tablet. But if you don't want that, then your other option is that you can print off your PDF and you can work from the written directions. And what is really awesome about, maybe this will work better now, I don't know. There, now you can kind of see it. I had to increase the screen brightness. So what's really awesome about her PDFs is that she always starts off with a section called Tips and Tricks. So she talks about your embroidery hoop and cutting your floss, separating your floss, threading your needle, how to start a stitch, what a waist knot is and a way knot. Like, there's just this whole section that's really useful in the very front of your packet if you aren't used to embroidery, because her kits are really geared toward anybody, beginner forward, so that you can start from nothing and learn if you want to. So I love that about Kariki Press. That's part of the reason that we carry her kits. It's part of the reason I've made several of her kits, because I love that they're very accessible and they're small. I mean, this is just a small little sampler to get you started, but it's super cute, and it gives you kind of a taste. And I like that right now because Ina gives me no time to do big projects, as evidenced by the the shawl that I'm still working on and I'm only halfway done with. So I love that these are small, approachable projects. I have a collection of other things on my table, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn my camera down. We'll talk about everything on the table, why you may or may not want it. Then I'll show you the setup for how to put your fabric in your hoop. and talk about my hoop. And again, it is wrapped, so I'll talk about that wrapped hoop again. So this is sort of setup day. This is like how to prep everything, how to get things ready to go, so that if you want to embroider along with me, you can set up and do that. So let's turn this, and there we go. And oh, hey, there's my deck. Okay, so let me just lock this quick. So here's what we have on the table. Some stuff on my table. So the first thing, of course, is the contents of my kit. So I just have my lovely little paper guide here. And sometimes I do reference my little color insert because I just want to see, you know, kind of what was going on in the overall theme of it. And then there's also my thread, and then there is my piece of fabric, my screen printed fabric here from Kariki Press. And then I have some extra things. So I'm a part of the sampler club, and I have been for a while. But this is called a needle minder. It's basically just a magnet that you can put on your fabric so that you don't lose your little magnetic needles. These are super nice to have. We have some really pretty ones from Kariki Press that have come in, and I'll be ordering more as time goes on. Maybe I'll see if we can get some done that are like black sheep. That would be really fun. So those are really nice. I like to have beeswax on hand, and you use this for your thread because you run your thread through it so that your thread doesn't knot up when you're working with it. And I'm also testing out something called Thread Magic, which I want to use. I will probably dig that out and try that on this project because I want to test it and see if the Thread Magic is worth using and worth carrying in the shop. And then it's always really nice to have a tiny pair of scissors. A little pair of scissors is always useful. These are these cute little snips that we carry in the shop. Great little snips, and they come with, you know, this fabulous attached, I love this, attached, oh shoot, I just forgot the word for this. Cover. There we go. Cover. We'll call it a cover. And then I have some tulip needles. Tulip makes really nice embroidery needles, but so does John James. We carry some John James. If you're interested in the tulips, we can see if we can get these in. And then there's your embroidery hoop. That's the last thing that you need. And I have a hardwood hoop. We're looking at carrying these in the shop. I'm very fond of them. They feel really nice in the hand. It's a Hardwick Manor hardwood hoop, and they are a little pricier because this is, as it says, a hardwood hoop. So these are bent hoops, super nice. But they're very strong. They've got great memory, great spring, and they feel really good in your hand. And then what I've done is I have wrapped my hoop with twill tape. So I've just taken twill tape all the way around, and you can see it in some places I did a better job than others. And I've just wrapped it all the way around, and then I have sewn with a matching color thread, badly sewn, but I was in a hurry, my twill tape down on the inside so that it won't come loose. And the idea is that if you wrap your inner hoop with twill tape, then it prevents your fabric from shifting as much when you go to place it in the hoop. Oh, and this is the last thing. So these are just some glass-headed pins. These are just some glass-headed pins. I believe Tina ordered in some glass-headed pins, and these I use for specific things like when we're making woven picots. Sometimes you need a pin for that. So every so often there is an embroidery technique where you need a pin, and so I've just taken to keeping a little box of pins with all of my embroidery stuff. So having said all of that, let's look at loading your hoop. So obviously you need the base of your hoop, and you know that I've wrapped it so that my when I put my fabric in, my fabric will stay taut and it won't move around as much, because you don't want your fabric to shift too much when you are stitching. You want it to stay taut. And I always like to sort of center my hoop if I can, but I can see that my printing is a little bit bigger, so I'll be working all of my sample stitches first before I do this design in the center, which means that I probably need to, and I'll have to move my hoop in order to do that, so I probably need to decide what I want to work first. And I think what I want to do is I want to start over here on this side, so I think I will start with my split stitch and my arrowhead stitch. So I'm just going to take my fabric and kind of press it over that hoop so that I have it where I'll be able to work these 3 stitches. And then I'm going to take my outside ring, and I might need to, there we go, adjust it a little bit. It's a little bit wider. And I just want to set it down on top. And then you want to adjust your screw so that it's pretty tight. But you don't want it too tight yet, because now what you want to do is you want to very gently grab the edges of your fabric and move it until it's what they call drum tight. So it's not quite drum tight. I need to tighten my band just a little bit more, my hoop a little more, and pull my fabric just a little bit more. And you don't want to distort your fabric. You want to make sure that as you're pulling it, that you are pulling it evenly all the way around so that your design doesn't get pulled off center. You can hopefully see the weave of the fabric as you go to work. Tighten that a little more. Not quite tight enough. Just very gently pull that. Almost there. Tighten my hoop a little more and very gently. Okay. And now you can hear that's drum tight. It has just a little bit of give, but this is going to allow me to stitch through without wrinkling my fabric, without bunching my fabric. So that's the key for this, is hopefully you can hear that drum tight. And part of what the fabric does here is that it helps give it a little more tension, and it gives a little friction because these 2 pieces of fabric can pull against each other. So there's that, nice and drum tight, right? So there's the setup there. Now the next thing I like to do is I like to put my needle minder on, and I'm actually going to put my needle minder kind of up here. And because this is magnetic, you can kind of slide it across your fabric. But I just want it up here kind of out of my way so that I can put my embroidery needle on it. And then there are different, I have different embroidery needles. So these are like sizes 7, 8, 9, and 10. And you want to size your needle to your fabric. So you want to make sure that you don't have a really large needle so that when it pokes into your fabric, it leaves a big hole behind. And you want to make sure that you are using sharp needles. So chenille needles are nice. Embroidery needles are also nice. You just have to decide which kind you want. Some needles are a little longer than others. I like a milliner's needle every so often. They're nice and long, but they are a little more flexible, so you have to decide kind of what you're after for your embroidery. Hi, Bev! I can actually see my comments today. That's fabulous. So when you're selecting your embroidery needle, you want to look for one that, again, is going to pierce through your fabric but isn't going to leave a huge hole. So for example, this is a larger needle than this one. Let's see if I can put those side by side, and hopefully you'll be able to see the difference. So this one's probably a 7. That one might be an 8. This one's probably a 9, or this one's probably the 10. So all I'm doing is I'm just laying all my little needles out here so I can see the difference in them. That way I can choose which needle I want. I think I want a 10. That slides through pretty easily. So I'm going to put my 10 over here. I'm going to try this. I think this is a 9. Actually, the 9 feels pretty good too, and it doesn't leave too big of a hole. So I'm going to take the 9 and the 10 and just set those to the side and put my 7 and my 8 away. And I think I'm going to do the 9. I think I'm going to try that 9. So I'm going to go ahead and just put my 10 away for now. I may change my mind later. And sometimes you may want to change the size of your needle depending on what stitch you're doing as well. So here I have my hoop set. I have my needle minder on. I've chosen my needle. And the next thing that I want to do is make sure that I have my instructions ready, which I do have my instructions. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but here's my start to my instructions. So here's the sampler that I'm making. Here's all of my little tips and tricks, which I, of course, have read through several times. And I love that she includes this at the beginning. It's very helpful. And then here are some of the different stitches that we'll be making and her descriptions and illustrations. So you can see there's a lot of help just in her PDF on how to do these, because this is a sampler, and so this is meant for people who maybe haven't made these stitches before. So now that I know I have my tablet ready to go, put my tablet over here. There. So tablet's ready, my hoop is ready, my needle minder and my needle are ready. So now I want to go ahead and look at my threads, and there is a thread guide. So you'll notice there's no numbers or anything on these threads, but there is a thread guide. Let's see. So there's a thread guide in the bottom corner of this page. This is page 6. So here's my thread guide, and it does tell me the DMC color number out to the side. So if for some reason I need more of this, I can get it. But it also just gives me a range. So it tells me my dark orange, medium orange, light orange, etc. And what I want to do is, I'm just going to check out my color insert here, and let's say I wanted to start with my split stitch. Then let's see, this split stitch looks like it's made in the light orange, so then I would just kind of lay these out. So these are dark orange, set it there. Actually, these are probably the dark orange. Yeah, dark orange, medium orange. Here's kind of a light peachy orange. Ooh, that's a lovely color. Pretty color. Here's a lovely yellow. That's probably part of the candy corn. These are my black. Here's my blacks. And then here's a white. And here's a light pink. And then I got a couple shades of green. Okay, so here's a couple shades of green, my yellow, my white, my pink. Okay, so I can see that I have plenty of thread to work with, and I'm going to assume that my split stitch is done in this light orange. So I'm just going to take all the rest of my colors and gather them up and make one big loop in them and put them away for now. Now, some people like to take these and they make like a little color card. So you can take, you could actually use your, like part of your little sampler piece if you want. You could cut this off and you could punch holes in it and you could write the colors and the numbers along the side, and you could loop these through. So you could just loop it through and a lark's head knot to hold it on, and that way you would know what all your colors were. So that's one way to do it. There are also like thread keepers that you can purchase, which have like pre-cut holes, and so you can just keep all your threads together for a project. You could make one out of plastic if you wanted to. So I mean, there's lots of options. Okay, having said all of that, so here's our split stitch, and I'm going to go just check what my split stitch instructions say to do. And I want to see, usually she tells you if she wants you to use 1 thread or 2 threads. Most of the time when you're practicing, you'll use 2 threads unless instructed otherwise. Something that it took me a long time to figure out was that so this is 6 strand embroidery floss. So 1, 2, 3, 4. See if I can spread them out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, 6-strand embroidery floss. So when you go to work with this floss, if it's not already pre-cut, which she has already pre-cut it, then you'll need to cut your length of floss from your yardage. And then you need to separate your strands to work with them. So in order to separate your strands, you're going to pick the one that you want and pull. And it's going to pull out. And if you need 2 strands, then you pull another one out. And if you need to work with 6 strands, then in regular embroidery, you go ahead and you pull all 6 strands apart and lay them next to each other so they have no twist in them. Right now they have twist. So you can see they're twisting around each other. But we don't want that for our embroidery work. So you need to make sure that you pull out your threads to work with them. So even if it says 2-strand or 3-strand or 4-strand, you pull each one out individually and then lay them back together and smooth them down. And this is when a thread aid is nice. So you can use beeswax, and to use your beeswax or your thread magic, either way, you just lay it kind of on top and hold it down gently and then just slide your thread through. And that was it. That's all you want to do. You just want to put just a little dab of the beeswax on there. And then you will want to thread your needle. And one of the tips that I really like is that you bring your needle to your thread, not your thread to your needle. And when you do that, it's really, really easy to thread your needle. Always bring your needle to your thread. When I first started embroidering, I would always put a knot in my tail. And you can still do that if you want to, especially when you're getting started on here. You can use a waist knot, and you can, like, if we want, we can go ahead and throw a waist knot in. And let's say that I wanted to get started on the split stitch. I could throw my waist knot in over here and just sort of let it hang out way over here, and then I could get started and I could work my split stitch, and I would clip this off later, and then I would take my thread end and I would weave it back through. So that's one option, is you can just use a waist knot. The other option is that, now I got to cut my knot off, hang on just a minute. The other option is that you don't knot the end of your thread, which is also a pretty common one. And you just need to remember to leave a tail. So when you go in over here, like for your split stitch, and just make sure that you leave a tail so that you can put this thread end at the end. Once you have your embroidery piece in progress, and we'll talk about this next time, then you can actually take your threads and you can weave it under the back side of your work in a section that's already started, and you can, woohoo! Well, there went my umbrella. You can sort of start your piece from there. Okay, well, it's getting a little windy out. Anyhow, we'll get started on our embroidery sampler next time. I just wanted to show you the setup and the prep and make sure that you knew to go download your PDF pattern, whichever one you've chosen. And it does say to download complete instructions, go to, and there is a page that you go to at Kariki Press in order to get your PDF. So you can either print that off, as I said, or you can just keep it on your tablet like I do. So hopefully that's a good little primer on different things that you want to have in your kit and how to set up your embroidery hoop. And I'm going to flip this around quick. Maybe. There we go. And okay. And I need to retrieve my poor umbrella, which decided to fly out of my canister. So clearly I do not have this set up quite right. But anyway, Wednesday I'll be back, and we will actually get started stitching on this. So I'll be demonstrating split stitch, arrowhead stitch, etc. as we go along. I don't know that I'll get through all of the different stitches on Wednesday, so we might split that over 2 days, but we'll do several. I'll try to get through as many as I can. An important thing to note is that if you are not going to be stitching on your fabric, then you need to loosen your fabric in between sessions. So you want to loosen your hoop so that it's not drum tight anymore, because you don't want to put any creases in your fabric. So a lot of times I just loosen it, and then I kind of let the fabric be soft and loose, and then I stick it back into my bag. I have a bag where I just put all of my embroidery stuff for the time being when I'm working on a project. So make sure if you've followed along with me and you have set up your hoop that you go ahead and loosen your fabric and stick that in your bag. If you have little ones around, it's usually a good idea to put away the needle, or at least, like I said, stick everything in a bag, put it on a high shelf, because I trust Ina with nothing. So, let's see what's going on. There's a bunch of new stuff in the shop that Tina has put up recently. There's new lace stuff, there's new Kariki press samplers, there's new Handmaiden, which we got in a few weeks ago, so lots of fun stuff. There's great clearance because, again, we're clearing some stuff out so that we can make room for the new things that we bought. I'm trying to think. We'd really like to do some sashiko in the future, so I'm hoping that Tina will do a nice session on sashiko, and maybe I can follow along with that because I haven't played with that yet. She bought me this great kit that I want to do, and hopefully she'll do a session with that. She still has her knit along going, just like I have my knit along going. And I think she's doing a crochet along as well with her t-shirts. So yeah, we got lots of fun things going. Today is the last day for the Slow Yarn Crawl for 2020. So just a few reminders there. Make sure you've made your final purchases. If you're doing any online shopping, several of our stores are closed today. So do be aware of that if you're traveling. Make sure that you submit your passport for any regional or grand prize drawings by the 15th. You have until September 15th, and then we'll start drawing prizes after the 15th. Let's see, if you know of a yarn shop that wants to join us next year, have them email slowyarncrawl@gmail.com. I think I have a contact link on slowcrawl.com, so you can find us there as well. Because if you are in the Oregon or Washington area, then we would like to include you in our Slow Yarn Crawl. And we are going to keep the couch crawl option next year because we think it was really fun and it allowed us to include a lot of people. So next year we're couch crawling again as well. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, and you have until the 15th to get your download codes in for your patterns as well. So make sure that you are downloading all of your patterns because you don't want to lose out on the fun patterns. There were fabulous patterns this year from all of our shops. So I think that's everything until Wednesday when we come back again and start learning some of our stitches. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay crafty, wear your mask, be careful when you go out, take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and don't forget to like our Facebook page so you get the notifications for when I go live. I do try to put those up on Instagram as well. And make sure that if you are following us on YouTube that you hit that subscribe button, and shop at blacksheepfiberemporium.com so that we can keep bringing you these fun videos. So until Wednesday, stay safe.